breaking and pillage in the hall. All right. Okay. Well, now we've got the airplanes. It's always something.
Exactly. That's part of the nature of it.
Okay.
Laird, I'll begin by saying that I am not a surfer, snow skier, but more comfortable on land, even in the snow, than I am in the water. You know the kind, I'm sure. But having said that, I just loved this movie, and I was so totally immersed in it because you took me to places on the sea and in the ocean that I'll never be there.
We made the film just for you. It was our, I mean, that's been our objective for me, at least personally, as a young surfer and just a son of a great surfer, and someone that's maybe throughout my life I've been ashamed to call myself a surfer because sometimes people just construe that as like, well, what do you do for a living? Like, how can you do this and really make this your life's passion? And I think I've always wanted to maybe translate that over to everybody. And I mean, surfers, we know surfers, they're going to appreciate 30, 60, 80-foot waves, but it's the people that don't know surfing really that at least for me personally, I'm interested in telling the story to.
That's hopscotch to the end of the movie. And the big ride that I guess is, well, you tell me, is that the biggest, best, most powerful ride you've ever had?
Oh, you're talking about Tahiti, you mean? Yeah, it was that day. I think it's a little bit like, I used the parable about the 4-minute mile. It was like breaking the 4-minute mile. I think that represented the 4-minute mile, the wall, and that we kind of broke that wall down. We've had some other days since then that were different, and I probably will never see a day with all the uniqueness of that day again in my lifetime like that at that place, with where I was at mentally, with where my equipment was at, with where our idea of what surfing was at. Just all these things came together to create this thing that it was an emotional day for me. After I successfully completed that particular wave at the end, I was overcome by like a very strong emotional feeling that I think was caused from maybe actually experiencing your dream, but it took 40 years to see it, where you always knew that was possible. You just hadn't seen it, and you always thought you could possibly do it, but hadn't done it. And somehow to have all those things come together on that day, it still makes me get emotional now when I think about it.
Once you started riding the wave, how many minutes or seconds passed before you got on ground?
Completed, the ride at that particular location is not extremely long. It's the depth of it, that really you go into this place where time stops. That you really go to a place where you don't know where it begins and where it ends. It's just this moment that seems like you are. It is. It's like people talk about, living presently and living in the moment. Well, this is like this moment, 10, 15, 20-second ride or something like that, or less, but the moment of it is so powerful, and being in it, you're really you're in a time machine for a second. Where everything just stops, and it's just you and your thoughts. You're just there with yourself, thinking about, and you have the little inner battle going on in your mind. Am I going to make it? What if I fall? I mean, you're running all these scenarios in your mind at lightning. At light speed. All your thoughts are traveling at light speed, but you yourself are almost stopped. It's almost a moment of stationary kind of reflection or something. And I think that's part of the uniqueness of the experience of being on a wave like that it really just clears everything. The slate is clean except for just the moment.
Now, You had one ride that was a gigantic wave. That the information we have is that there were no cameras around.
Yeah.
Tell me about that one.
Well, you have, I mean, you have those throughout your history in surfing. That's the nature of it. It's like you don't always capture the biggest, best ride because because of the way the ocean is, you can't predict it. So it's like prepare for the unpredictable, be ready for the unknown. And so we have those days and those moments that just are only a memory, and maybe those are the ones that you hold the most dear to yourself because that it's just you in that moment, where you have these pictures and films of these other experiences that other people can share with you in, but these ones that aren't captured are the ones that you have those in your pocket, and you just always you can reflect on those. And a very dear friend of mine said that you should invest in experiences, and I take that to heart, that some of the greatest investments in experiences are the ones that only you have a recollection of, or maybe just your one friend that saw you, and you and him together can look at each other and remember that one? Oh yeah, I remember that one.
I can't even begin to imagine what it feels like with all the power of that water and everything, just pummeling against your face and your head and your skin and everything. Is there a lot of physical pain involved?
Well, I think there's a lot of physical pain that's involved in developing yourself as a surfer. Becoming a surfer it's because the ocean is relentless. It is, and it's not picking you out to discriminate against you. It just is, and you're either on the right end of it or the wrong end of it. And I mean, I can remember the days of frustration and pain. Sorry, I'll wait for that. I mean, I can remember days of frustration and pain where, I spent hours and hours just paddling and fighting and getting hit by waves and paddling and hit by waves and paddling and hit by waves, and I never rode a wave. I spent the whole day doing that, and I can remember, and there's been a lot of years of those days put together that would deter most people, unless you really, knew that there was a greater goal involved. And I mean, when a wave gets a hold of you with the power and the strength of the waves that we're able to ride, it just reminds us how insignificant we really are. It just keeps everything in perspective. In a world of power and control and all this kind of, air conditioning for the temperature and, money and all this stuff that's just a distraction from what our true essence is. It's just a reminder of like, hey, it's a lot greater than you, and it just puts everything in perspective. And I think it would be good if more people experienced it, because it might change the way they were.
I had to just really laugh out loud at the end of the movie when they're rolling the credits and everything. The question they asked your father,
Yes.
How did he get
It's a little embarrassing.
How did he get to be such a great surfer?
Yeah.
And your father said,
Yes, my father said it was the third testicle, which for me is very embarrassing, of course, but it's not true either. No, but there is in a way, it's a little bit of a parable that there is something that you have at birth that makes you different than other people, and that you want to ride. You're driven to do things that are just beyond what is normal. And my dad also always has said, big wave riders are born and not made. That you're born this way, you don't become. Now you become a big wave rider through experience, but first you have to start with the right genetics, or maybe in some people's case the wrong, wiring to be able to do this. And I attributed it back to the days of old when men had to put themselves on the line in order for the best interest of survival for the group, for their children and their wives, and go throw themselves in front of the dinosaur and be able to consciously do that without any hesitation. Just be able to go, okay, and make that mental decision. And I think that throughout evolution, we've lost some of that, and then now we only have it in 1 in 10 or 1 in 100 instead of in everyone, or maybe 1 in 1,000, or maybe 1 in 10,000. But I think that is a very natural thing for men, especially because that's part of their role in human evolution. Was okay. Hey, we have to be expendable at the time. Once we do our job and make mom pregnant, and then we can go and block her from the dinosaur or something. But it can be that simple. We try to make things so complex and so complicated in our new world of technology and media. But really, we've only been here for 100 years, 200 years. Where were we? I mean, we were there for thousands.
Well, Laird, I do appreciate your coming to Dallas, and I've loved this opportunity to meet you and talk with you. And all the best to all of you. This is a fantastic film. And,
well, thank you very much, and I appreciate it. It's my desire to please you.
Thank you.
The non-surfer that actually you are, you just don't realize it. Get you on my board one day.
Now, he's